And we are live. We're going to give you 1 to 2 minutes of lead time here. Give folks an opportunity to join the live chat. And meanwhile, we'll look at the sun at 193 angstroms. All right, thanks for tuning in, viewers. Looking at 193 angstroms view here, we see a large, very well-defined coronal hole in the southern hemisphere, just about to be in the perfectly Earth-facing region, and that should be sending a coronal hole wind stream, and we'll be looking for that in a couple of days. Let's look at the 304 angstroms view also as we fade out the music. And there's 7.5 hours of the 304 angstrom view. And yes, I mean the latest 7.5 hours as we cover things as close to real time as is humanly possible. Move on to the real-time solar wind. And we see a phi angle around 315. So we're awaiting another magnetic connection to that coronal hole. And that will raise the risk of earthquakes, folks. We see a 4.32 proton per cubic centimeter solar wind density there, along with a 335 kilometer per second solar wind speed. So solar wind conditions in effect. I think I hit a wrong button. Let's look at the magnetosphere movies. For the purposes of data archiving, if nothing else. We'll look at all three and let them play through. And this is a good opportunity for you to leave a comment, because you're not going to see too much on these magnetosphere movies. Good day, Harry. And thank you for your efforts, smAsho staff. Anyway, there's the velocity, about what you would expect to see from the solar wind data. Here's the density. And we see some various different low densities coming in there from the solar wind on the left of your panes. And there's the density, the pressure. And we see all the pressure concentrated on the magnetotail at the beginning of the movie, and then it evening out to just equally low pressure, and then going back to the magnetotail, and then going back to even. So it's kind of all over the place right now, folks. Solar minimum conditions persist. 10.7 centimeter radio flux all the way down to 67. Let's look at the ground geospace perturbations here. And we see some similar undulations in the South and North Pole, especially the North Canadian pole. The Siberian one looks a little more stable. And I believe some other folks will corroborate that. Let's look at the globe view. And we want these videos to be as short and condensed as possible and not let anything repeat. We don't like to repeat ourselves, although we do anyway. As you're probably aware, South Pole migrating into the southern Indian Ocean, rather. South Pole migrating into the southern Indian Ocean toward Western Australia. And you've got two North Poles. Look at the total electron content. This affects your GPS accuracy. And we are looking at pretty low levels there. And Google Assistant has opened up spontaneously on my phone repeatedly. It is a program that I would uninstall, but it will not go away. Since it's built into the Android system, you can't get rid of it without rooting your phone. And I'm not doing that. Anyway, check out smAsho.org. It's about to receive some changes. You hear that, smAsho staff? That means you. We're going to make those graphics that we need. Anyway, the mission is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, including things like the rewriting of astrophysics. Also to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects. To connect and consult with media organizations to multiply our reach and behave like a voice actor. To demonstrate cutting-edge proof of concept solutions to problems, such as growing tomatoes indoors over the wintertime. Also to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary manner, including but not limited to spectroscopy, chemistry, astrophysics, health, wellness, longevity, cosmology, biology, magnetohydrodynamics, geology. They all relate to each other. You might think they're totally different things, but they're all interconnected. Also to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomena in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt no matter what the adversity is, all caps. And to not be ossified in our beliefs and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to the scientific discussion, whether they're dum-dums or geniuses. So every little bit counts. Thanks for visiting the links in the description beneath our videos. As you've turned our bubblegum and dental floss budget into almost a shoestring budget. We're almost at a shoestring budget, folks. Check out theveloshop.net and go buy a bike. Pro racer Becky Quinn will include a pro bike fit for any bike purchase. My cousin's thinking about getting one, and I think he's going to get like something like Felt Verza, something like this. If you're going to buy a commuting bike, folks, get one in bland colors, I would say. Although if you're going to ride in the woods, you may want to get orange. It's always a benefit to not get shot by hunters. Anyway, theveloshop.net. That's our actual sponsor. That's the shop I ride for. When I ride, currently, I look like theveloshop.net. Not like this. This is when I was on a different team. At a stage race in Massachusetts, the Fitchburg Longo Classic, and this is just before a mountaintop finish line. And that was a nasty day in the saddle, let me tell you. So thanks again, sponsors and corporate sponsors. Please email at smashomash@gmail.com. There is still the possibility to get on the veloshop.net team jerseys this year. So I know it sounds weird. It's a pre-Olympic season. Let's go to Solar Ham and first look at the synoptic map here. And there's not a lot of stuff going on. And Cook seems to agree, although he's noting a small filament down here. or she. I don't know. Actually, let's go back to SolarHam and look at both LASCOs, the C2 and the C3. All right, I know I clicked it. I don't know why it doesn't do anything. I've clicked it a third time. Now it worked. Hey, how do you like them apples? So here's the C2. We see that coronal mass ejection that we covered for the last 2 days on the 21st, which will miss the Earth to the west. And a little bit of ejecta coming out of there in the east yesterday also. Nothing to write home about. Let's look at the C3 anyway and do a nice zoom in on Mercury as it's making an appearance. And there it goes. Love that. All right, let's continue on to spaceweather.com, who's still talking about noctilucent clouds. And always some interesting articles to read there. I would note 10.7 centimeter radio flux. Also, just a little side note, spaceweather.com has a chart of the recent and upcoming Earth asteroid encounters, as well as things like meteor shower predictions, information about cosmic ray flux, a little exaggeration about cosmic ray flux, but that's okay. And 10.7 centimeter radio flux, 67. Now that's legit solar minimum conditions, folks. 67 solar flux units. Ouch. That is low activity. Keep in mind, that's only a measure of the outer corona. That doesn't include a lot of the other measurements, such as magnetic fields, electron flux, sunspot activity, flares, coronal mass ejections, filaments, and countless other things. But it is a measure of the outer corona, and it does follow sunspot number. All right, let's look at other data here. X-ray flux is totally flatlined, as you'd expect. Magnetometer showing some perturbations there. Here's a close-up of the magnetometer. Vigos 15 and 14 spacecraft. I apologize for the delay. And we do see a very low electron flux just coming off of the lows there. We saw a bigger dip than we've seen for the last 3 days. Charging hazards are minimal and in the usual spot for this time of day over Central America and Northern South America. Ionosphere map is looking pretty normal here right now. No comment there. Cosmic rays before we look at the Gong 2, which is also really boring. Here's the cosmic rays. We've seen an uptick in the past couple days at Apatity. As well as at Barentsburg. Cosmic ray uptick, folks. How about Athens? Not really the same uptick there. Next, we'll look at Mexico City. There's that. Feel free to pause if we're not leaving them on the screen long enough. Here's Moscow. Steep uptick at Moscow in the past couple days. Shout out, Russian viewers. If you're viewing from Russia, please leave a comment. Here's Oulu, Finland. Similar uptick. So uptick in cosmic rays, folks. Very much following the 10.7 centimeter radio flux here. DOMC Antarctica agrees, and so does DOMB. So how about them apples? Here's a gong 2. We're looking at 1 hour and 48-minute old data from a lot of ground and space-based magnetometers. Keep in mind, we get, let me go to the last frame here for a minute. When we see the spikes in the magnetometer, they are when we transition from an area like this to an area like this, where there's less plasma bunched up. And so we should see some continued magnetometer perturbations. Also, we see that the North Pole field is sticking out a bit, possibly could be an indication of some activity about to pop off on the eastern limb. I can't believe I can predict that from this, but I can. All right, so thanks for joining, everybody. Oh, a goulash. Oh, man, I should make a goulash. That sounds like a freaking fantastic idea. Can you include the goulash recipe in the description? I might make one. Nice. And a huge carrot cake. That is awesome. Where you're located, Harry? You say Oz? Is that Old Zealand? Yeah, Jupiter's eye is about to abduct Earth, I guess. It's vanishing because it's on its way to take your soul, Snowflake. All right, we're going to stereo A. It's coronagraph. And there is that. Let's get the maximum data here. And there was a whole lot of zilch going on there. So let's move on before we become old and gray and or bored. Welcome to the solar system of condensed matter. You're not made of a ball of gas, and neither is the sun. So there's the location of the planets, and this dashboard is so silly that I can't even effectively advance this particular one. Anyway, it is a very nice feature-filled planet simulator map, or whatever you want to call it. You can view it from a million angles. You can probably view it from Leo if you want to. Anyway, theplanetstoday.com. Here's a sky chart, as I'm always interested in what's going on above my head, as Deneb just circles the North Star over and over again all summer. If you're not familiar with the summer triangle, it consists of Deneb, Altair, and Vega. There's Altair. And there's Arcturus, one of the brightest stars in the sky. And anyway, if you get up before dawn, the Moon, Jupiter, Saturn conjunction are still going on up there. So check it out. It's pretty awesome if you got clear skies. And once again, I don't think we do. How about Altair? Are you familiar with it? One of the 3 summer triangle stars, Vega, Altair, and Deneb. If you want information on that, I don't know, look it up. Altair. But please don't Google it. Seriously, don't even say that. Follow us on Instagram. Sometimes we drive down the road and expose hacks like this.
All right, here's another pro driving tip for you. And it's a very simple tip. Watch the road instead of your phone, like this hack in front of me. This hack in front of me is all over the road, can't stay in their lane, can't drive at consistent speed. So don't be a hack, folks. We will notice, and then we will call you out, like I'm calling out that hack driver.
So yeah, don't be a driving hack, folks. Seriously, learn to drive. I mean, if you do it every day, there's no excuse for sucking at it. If you suck at driving that hard, you suck at life, period. You're putting people's lives in danger and delaying progress of human existence by blocking the road. So don't do it. If you're driving in the left lane in Pennsylvania and you're not passing, get the hell out of the left lane. Seriously. There are a lot of people that are more important than you trying to get someplace at a high rate of speed. Also follow us on Twitter, even though I don't tweet. It gives you the ability to share our videos on another platform if you see fit. Follow us on Facebook, our leading censor, who keeps asking us for our phone number and displaying it on the screen, which is what's going to happen now because their software is more broken than my leg on November 13th, 1999, after being hit by a truck. So get that crap off my screen, Facebook. Stop asking me for my phone number as it's already in your stupid system. Learn how to write software. I don't know, maybe hire some people who know how to write software instead of just political activists, and get your act together because you are turning into a desiccated corpse like Google. Also follow us on minds.com. That's minds.com/smAsho, the social media site that won't censor you and is written on open source code. So if you'd like to make an identical social media, they'll give you the code. Unlike Facebook, Google, Apple, Netflix, Twitter, and most big tech companies whose software is proprietary because it's designed to spy on you. If you haven't liked and subscribed to our channel here on YouTube, where most of our content is, for convenience sake, not because we enjoy Google's web ring. And thanks, new subscribers. We appreciate it. Maybe we'll get to 1,400 someday. Saw a big quake yesterday here at Alaska. Check it out. A 6.1. Was there a tsunami? I'm sure they were watching that one close. No current threat going on. Downgraded to a 5.9. How you like them apples? No tsunami was expected. Shout out in the comments if you know anything about the 6.1 and the Aleutians. Although if you're living out there, you're probably not watching our video. If you are, certainly leave a comment because that's just awesome. I would so go on vacation there. I'll bet the fishing is incredible. All right, let's continue on here. 4.2 at Nevada. Wow. Very far inland. Shout out Nevadan viewers. Did you feel it? There's a location. We have been seeing some activity around that area. There's your shake map. Can I click it? Can I click it? I can't click it. There we go. There's a location of that quake. Largest quake in that area for quite some time. I don't remember the last one. If you do, leave a comment. Here's a 5.2 Papua New Guinea. 5.6 at New Caledonia. 5.1 north of Ascension. 4.5 in a hot spot. That's been a hot spot forming in there. Let's zoom in on this, as there have been a ton of quakes in this spot or close to this area. Let's go to the interactive map. And there's a location of that quake. Shout out Guadalajarans. You probably didn't feel that. And I don't know why it didn't click. I clicked it. Did you hear the button click? I clicked it. I swear to you. Here's a 4.6 at Japan at 110 kilometers depth. Shout out Staccato. If you're in that region. Looks pretty populated. I see cities. Lots of roads. Leave a comment if you felt that quake. Not far at all from Tokyo. And also portends a larger quake at the surface. Let's look at the pressure maps. Courtesy windy.com. So let's let that area play. The only deep quake we've seen here. And this is the map of the pressure, folks. And it's like there's actually a high pressure forming right over Japan. Check it out. There's a high pressure forming. So coronal hole magnetic connection is a huge danger for this, as there really still is an earthquake drought overall speaking. Zoom back out and look at this super interesting system over the North Pacific. Before we move on, we've got a double anticyclone and a double low that are co-interacting. It's pretty funky. Let's look at it from the wind scale to give you a little more insight into the weirdness. There's the surface winds. And here's the flight level 45,000 winds. And there's the 9,000 meter. So anyway, in the northern hemisphere, if you see systems rotating clockwise, that's an anticyclone associated with positive charge and a pressing down, as opposed to a lifting up in a low pressure, which is why the ocean bulges, by the way, folks. All right, let's move on here to volcano discovery and look at today's volcano rundown. Karimsky. Karimsky back in the list, producing a 12,000 foot plume and exploding. Explosive activity at Ibu, 8,000 foot plume there. Tucono, 7,000 foot plume there with explosive activity. Revenador also exploding. Sabancaya exploding. And Nevados de Chilean weak emissions, but back on the list. All right. Jupiter is directly behind Earth currently, and we're never getting solar wind from any of these CMEs or coronal hole. No, the coronal hole wind stream is on the way by now, because it does come out in an angular fashion. I mean, Jupiter does affect the back end of the way the solar wind operates, I would imagine. But it's pretty hard to map that out because you're trying to look at a bunch of stuff only visible on a magnetometer, which is otherwise invisible, in order to figure out where those field lines would be. Oh, you're going to get a direct energy message. Cool. Let us know in the comments what the message is once you get it. Welcome, Kalo Jan. Snowflake vaccine states, my poll just shifted. You almost got it. That's what she said on that one. Moonlight does tend to wake people up, man. Around full moon, you do sleep worse. And that is, bad sleep is associated with insanity. Demonic possessions are associated with bad sleep. Yeah, old people on the highway are more important than me, even though they're trying to eat food that I'm trying to protect by getting to the other end of the highway. So we got crazy ass storms over the central US once again. We'll go to Kansas this time. Man, oh man. Leave a comment to your Instagram account if you've got images of destroyed towns, as there are an endless supply of them going on. Let's hope most of these storms hit unoccupied areas, because they are nasty. Check it out, man. Really coordinated storms here. Let's go to Iowa. Shout out to Iowans. People who've recently moved to Iowa, especially. Aubrey and company. Yo, that is a gigantic storm. Look at that thing. Wow. We got to zoom in on that, on the water vapor map, because that's completely out of control. Look at that thing. Talk about an earth spot. Try to get most of this. All right, we're way too far to the north here. I got to be way down here. There we go. Cosmic ray flux, anybody? Check it out. That is yowzers. Now, I would like to note, you see how there's water vapor appearing to vanish from the map? That's because it's gone from the atmosphere to the ground. So I imagine there's some severe flooding in Iowa right now. We got missed by our tornadic system last night. Way to the north. The forecasts were utterly incorrect about the way that system would move from my location. I was expecting it to train right over us once again. Kansas, you're in store for a bunch more weather. Although the atmospheric river here is drying up a little bit via precipitation, because there's not a lot else to stop it. It's being funneled in by this dry air in these areas. You know, down here, this dry air here, and this dry air is just holding it in place. And man, that is. And let's go to the source once again. The source of the atmospheric river. There's the point of convergence. Dry air versus wet air. If you're not familiar with atmospheric physics, dry air is much more massive than wet air. And we're not going to get into the weeds on that, because there's still more stuff to cover, such as contributions, campaign contributions. Now, Bernie was really stoked in 2016 that his average campaign contribution was $27. So I ask you, the viewer, did you contribute? Did you contribute $27? And if so, what did that contribution get you? Because he's not president, if you've noticed. And he's not going to be elected in 2020 either. Because Americans aren't fans of economic illiterates. Americans have a high propensity to have the ability to distinguish between their ass and a hole in the ground. Unlike, well, I mean, some Americans do, some Americans don't. But most do. Which is why they won't vote for Bernie. Spying to watch secretly, usually for hostile purposes. To catch sight of, or to search or look intensively. Usually used without. Spy out places fit for vending. I never heard it used that way, have you? Speaking of spying, Brave won't do it if you use Brave browser instead of a jalopy known as Google Chrome, which will crash your live stream, as our regular viewers witnessed happen to our live stream repeatedly. Brave actually blocks software that follows you around. You can earn rewards through the affiliate program. It blocks unwanted content and keeps count of how many ads blocked. You don't want to know how many ads are blocked. And you'll browse the web up to 8 times faster. That's what happens when you have smart people doing good things. Also, please don't hesitate to use DuckDuckGo.com as your search engine, as it won't store your personal information ever, won't follow you around with ads, won't track you in or out of private browsing mode. So consider your own privacy when using search engines. Let's look at some transients. About Sagittarius A star. Our spaced out viewers probably know what that is. And for our new viewers, Sagittarius A star is the core of the Milky Way galaxy. And we actually just saw some pretty powerful transients in the past couple of days. Not a lot of transients, just some higher power transients. Let's look at a distant galaxy, Cygnus A, which is the second most powerful radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun. Here's its transients. Here are its transients, I guess I should say. And it looks like Cygnus A is actually in a state of dropping power in the last 30 days here. It had a big outburst around day 117. Let's look at Cygnus X3, otherwise known as Deneb, my favorite star. And the North Celestial Pole at the other end of the precessional equinox. I mean, the other end of the precessional cycle. It supplants Polaris. And we see it's weakening similarly to Cygnus A. So is this the same graph as that radio galaxy? You be the judge. Now that radio galaxy is about 500 million light years away or so. Deneb is something like 1,200 light years away. And how about one more just as a bonus? How about M31? I guess I can't get that. Okay, how about this one? It's pretty popular nowadays. How about M87? You know, the quote, black hole, end quote. There are the transients from that. And we actually do see a correlation here too. If you look, there was a slight density spike here around day 117. and then a dropping off of the activity. So if you want to do further research, folks, just do a DuckDuckGo search for the SWIFT/BAT, which stands for Burst Alert Telescope Hard X-ray Transient Monitor. The Neil Gorell Swift Observatory. And it is Swift. Let's talk about the CIA. If you don't watch the Joe Rogan Experience, well, I suggest you do, as pop culture is getting faster and faster, and people like Joe Rogan are advancing it, even when they put incredibly stupid guests on. Here's an incredibly smart guest, Annie Jacobson, and this isn't the Joe Rogan Experience. This is just some other thing talking about her book, Surprise, Kill, Vanish.
Individual, team, and enterprise level subscriptions at stratfor.com.
And we've gone to an ad. Let's go to some
back
content.
To that age-old archetype that young men become cannon fodder.
So anyway, we've left links to this. If you want to look it up, it's a very popular book. It's available in all kinds of different locations. And now you have to go back to the sun, that is. And we're talking about Robitaille's paper, The Sun on Trial. So now we have links to this PDF already in the description beneath this video. Here is a video with him talking about it, which might be more appropriate for the channel. Let's play a clip from his
lattice may be much more stable.
Come from his Electric Universe 2014 appearance. Let's just pick this random spot here. Oh, this is a good one. Take it away, Robitaille.
The structure. And of course, this is open to debate. You can come up with your own ideas, but I think this one makes the most sense. Now, in the photosphere, we have the hexagonal layered structure with hydrogen. If you go inside the sun and the sunspots and the convection zone, we have the same structure, but now it's compressed. See, the internuclear distance is larger here.
So we greatly appreciate this, as this is part of the upcoming theory of everything, folks. The implications of the sun being made of condensed matter as opposed to being made of a gaseous ball of plasma are that astrophysics gets rewritten, as the sun is the Rosetta Stone of the rest of the universe. So when an astronomer tells you that the mass of Deneb is X, Y, or Z, he's basing that calculation on a gaseous plasma version of the sun. And the implications to that and all of astrophysics are, well, vast isn't the real word to cover it. Maybe we have to invent a new word. Supravast?
Than here. So this is more compressed. When it goes compressed, the conduction gets very good. The quantum conditions are fulfilled for.
The point is, when you look into a sunspot and it looks dark, that's because the matter is condensed enough to be a stable lattice. When you see a bright section of the sun that is not a sunspot, there's enough plasma movement in those areas. There's enough convection going on in those zones that that stable lattice is not in place. And that's part of the reason why the corona looks the way it does. The sun operates on electron affinity and electron availability. So please watch the videos. It's kind of important, and we're trying to let people know about this before it happens, because astrophysics getting rewritten is pretty serious stuff, and the implications on human technology are more than vast also. Indeed, we do actually see a little bit of activity rising there on the east, as was notable on the Gong 2. So if you look closely enough, you'll see things you wouldn't have otherwise seen, folks. And that's part of the reason why we started studying the sun this in depth at solar minimum, because you never know when variables will correlate in an unexpected fashion. Let's get to the chat. And play a little music. as it is about time to get out of here. So we are within about 3 minutes of closing this thing down, folks. Any other comments? If you want your friends or foes to view the live stream while it's still live, have them tune in. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Especially thanks, donors. And thanks for leaving comments, everybody. Having an interactive live stream is the whole point of it. So. Korgrog Grogo says the aliens are going to turn Jupiter into a small sun, just like in the movie where the guy yells, "It's shrinking, it's shrinking." Same thing my girlfriend screams. Well done. That's a comment. By the way, this track is called Tour de Chance, and it's available at soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. All right, it's about that time, folks. But one other thing, we're going to look at a colored magnetogram view here as, again, there's some activity rising. And we're not just ahead of the curve here, we're miles and miles and light years ahead of the curve. So there it is. I guess I can't zoom that way, but there's a cycle 24 polarity plage forming at a quite high latitude, actually. So. That could be the next sunspot. Whether it is or not, I don't care. Wow, we got 6 viewers the whole time, huh? Well, thanks everybody for tuning into the whole stream. We appreciate it. And it is about time to close this thing out. So when you're staring at the sun, don't drink. And if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.